with all due respect.
Hey, we're Josh Ortegon and Gray Gaines, and this is With All Due Respect, the show where we keep it real about health, fitness, and performance. From weight loss to sports development, we're covering the conversations that matter.
Follow us on Instagram at Phenom Fitness, PHNM Fitness, and visit www.phenomfit.com to check out our training programs, coaching, and gear built for real results. Let's get into it.
Hey guys, thank you for watching. With all due respect, we have Jordan Syatt on today. Was Gray's connection. Gray, tell us what you like about. Hey, what do you love about Jordan? What do you love about this episode?
Well, for those of you who don't know and maybe haven't heard previously, I was on his podcast 6 years ago this August. So it was a very full circle moment for us to host him on our podcast. He was one of my very first follows when I created my fitness account before I was even like a certified personal trainer. I was just working on my certification and working out. But I love Jordan so much, because he is one of the realest people that you'll ever meet. He is brutally honest, but in like the most loving way. Like he's going to tell you like this is what it is, but I know you're capable of doing it, you
Yeah,
know?
he's empathetic, doggone it.
He is empathetic, but he's
Yeah.
harsh at the same time. And I feel like that's a lot of how I am. I think that's a lot of how you are too, Josh. And I think that that is a quality person, if I'm being honest. I think the best people in your life are honest with you, but empathetic with you at the same time.
I think
Um,
he's very pragmatic. I
yes.
think in this episode, he's very pragmatic, got a realistic look on exercise and fitness for general population people, and moderation is the key here, right? We don't have to be extremists.
So well-rounded,
So
and he
longer. Yeah.
he talks about his personal journey in this episode. I love to hear his journey as a dad as well, and as a husband, and just how he implements this with his family.
All right. Make sure you check out the link below, phenomfit.com, for everything you need from us, from coaching to nutrition plans to consults, and our book coming out soon. Thank you.
Woo! All right, y'all. Welcome back. With all due respect, we're so glad you're here. Glad you're back for another week. I'm really excited for this episode. And I think, as Josh always likes to say when we first get started and we've invited somebody on that, maybe we look up to, or somebody that we've known in the community for a long time, I'm really excited. And I was nervous to ask you to come on, Jordan, because I'm like, he probably doesn't have time for us to come on our hour-long podcast and, talk about whatever. But I am thrilled to have you on this podcast. And I kind of want to start it off by just saying, the first time that we were on a podcast together, I was on your podcast and you talked me through life as a personal trainer and going through burnout and trying to figure out what I wanted to do inside of this space, because it is a really big space. And I want to say that you left me with a piece of advice that I have applied to my coaching for 6 years now. And that was, if you feel stuck, go learn something. And I have taken that every day for 6 years and I've applied it. So I want to thank you again for being on our show today. And I want you to just introduce yourself, tell everyone who you are if they don't know who you are, how you got started in the space that you're in, and we'll go wherever it goes.
Well, thank you for having me. And I got to say, this is a really wonderful full circle moment, like a real blessing to
Totally
speak 6 years ago on the phone to a young woman I didn't know, and hear your story, and hear like the young trials and tribulations of a new coach in a then saturated and now even more saturated industry, and to see how far you've grown and how far you've come. I mean, the truth is, like, as you know, at this point, the burnout rate in this industry is massive. Most coaches don't make it past their first year, never mind 6 years. And so for you to be here at this point and getting deeper and deeper and deeper into it is it's a wonderful blessing. And I'm so proud of you. And I appreciate you having me on. And I'm Jordan. I'm a short, bald, nerdy Jewish guy. I like to lift weights, and I just like to help people with their health and their fitness, and helping them understand that being healthy doesn't have to take over your entire life. You can do small things on a consistent basis that really make dramatic impacts on not just your health, but your family's health, your community's health. And I very much believe that every individual action you take has a ripple effect that could dramatically positively influence the entire world. And I know that sounds hippy dippy. I know it sounds obnoxious, but I legitimately believe it to be true. And so it only takes one candle to light every other candle. And so, if you can take that on yourself and do small little things every day to improve your own health, I think you can light other people's candle, if you will. So, thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah. I think, what I really related to too when I first started following you on Instagram, however long ago it was, is that you made me feel like I was in a space where I could put my health first, but that putting my health first didn't mean that I had to sacrifice everything else to be healthy. And you just kind of spoke on that. But I think why people gravitate towards you is you allow for that. It's like, I'm going to make the decisions necessary to work out and to eat well and to be a part of my family. But that doesn't mean that that's something I do every single day and I sacrifice every hour of the day to be in that space. I think even over the last 6 years, I've seen you become a dad and become a husband and like all of these different things. And so you've really encompassed health in a full circle way, which is really, really cool to me.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. It's becoming a dad has changed literally every aspect of my life, and it's helped me even more understand the importance of the minimum effective dose and making fitness a part of your life, not your whole life, for the benefit of your family. So yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I do want to dive in. I know Josh had some questions too. We've been talking to some people just about the coaching industry and maybe how it's changed or what we're seeing now or maybe where we think it's going to go. I know a lot of your coaching has stayed the same, but what do you think has changed within your coaching?
So I'm going to answer that, but my ADD brain has to have something answered first. Can you explain how you got the name for the podcast, with all due respect?
Yeah, Josh, you take that one.
Conor McGregor.
Really?
Our it's small. We'll probably eventually get sued and kicked off the scene and get banned from everything. But we take his clip where uh with all due respect.
Yeah, yeah.
And if you know the famous clip when he says it. And what I wanted to do was we wanted to have a podcast that's uh undeniably authentic,
Mm,
that told real true stories, wasn't bias based, wasn't was sincere, but still like wasn't apologetic for being honest.
mm.
And we just used the with all due respect. And I think I heard it one time when he said it on a clip, when Connor said it on a clip after becoming the double champ. And I was like, we're running with that. And me and Gray have always been the type of people that like, I'll call her, be like, with all due respect, she's like, I like it, run with it, let's go.
We like had a eventual goal to start a podcast in 2025 and not 2024. And he texted me one day and he was like, you know what? I have something to say. Let's just start it. Let's just rip it.
I
And
love that.
that's exactly what we did. We got on for our first episode, just the two of us. And we started off just recording like every other week. And we'd have we have a colleague that we used to have on frequently, a lot more frequently before he got a lot busier. And we would just kind of like bullshit. And then we got to a place where we were like, our podcast is good. Like, let's keep expanding this and like asking the people that we may be nervous about asking because we feel like we promote a good message. And so it's
Good.
just comes from there.
I
I don't
Yeah.
know
love
if
that.
your life's like this too, Jordan. When you go in life, you get married, have a kid, you start becoming disconnected with people.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to have a reason to invite my friends and people that I like,
Mm.
force them to sit there for an hour and have a conversation with me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
'Cause I
love
want
that.
to immortalize this. These videos are going to hopefully be played long after we die. And I just want to have a memory of it. And
Mm-hmm.
there's somebody down the line watches our podcast, comes into you, they say something, or you say something in this video that encourages them to uh, start taking their health serious, then it's worth it for me.
Mm-hmm. I think about that a lot as well with all of my content, podcast and otherwise, especially in terms of my kids, grandkids. And obviously, I love helping everybody. But if I could have hours long conversations to listen to of my grandparents and parents and just like all of my descendants, like, are you kidding me? That would just be unbelievable. And so what you're really doing is you're leaving messages for your family in the future to be like when they're having a lonely time or when they just want to hear your voice or when they are looking for your guidance, they can they can go
Hey, that's
listen to
gonna
you.
make me kind of cry.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that's intense.
And to see your future kids, grandkids could see this moment and see you as this like young woman who's like finding her way and building her career. Like what a wonderful blessing for them to be able to see you in this moment. It's extraordinary.
Yeah, you'll have a 10-year-old one day that runs up on YouTube and is
Like
like,
my mom was on a podcast.
I saw mommy on a video. What's that? Right?
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
Right. No. Yeah, for
So
sure.
sorry, what was your initial question?
Yeah,
Sorry
so
about that.
no, it's okay. It's
Well,
totally
your
okay.
coaching changed, I think. What's been different?
Yeah, like I would love to dive into a little bit about coaching and just seeing, where your mental space is with how you see your coaching or how your coaching has changed or maybe where you want your coaching to go. I think a piece of that too is I've noticed that you've gotten a lot more in depth with the people that you have on your podcast, so I think you're just evolving into like not only, just this fitness and nutrition coach, but also like, hey, I want to promote education in many different scopes.
Yeah. So, I mean, I literally am publishing a podcast tomorrow with a former CIA spy and FBI special agent.
That's cool.
And she has a book titled The Unexpected Spy. Like she was a sorority girl in college. And like, like she's just, you look at this woman and like, she's beautiful and she's sweet. And she has a book called The Unexpected Spy. And she's amazing. And so I had her on my podcast.
You know,
So I just I'm trying to get my Instagram handle changed from Syatt Fitness just Jordan Syatt, but it's not letting me change my fucking handle. So, but either way, specific to actual fitness coaching, I think over the last few years, I'll explain the mistake and then I'll explain what I'm doing now. The mistake was, um, overall as an industry, especially our corner of the industry, because it's a huge industry, but our corner is just is all about strength training. That's it. It's like strength, 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 which is amazing. And everyone needs to be doing strength training. Everybody. What I found is that we've gone so hard into strength training that we've neglected so many other important components of fitness that need to go along with it. And so, for example, what goes along with strength training is protein, right? And protein's super important. And obviously, statistically, you look at the vast majority of Americans, they're not strength training enough and they're under eating protein. There is, however, a group within the fitness industry who they only strength train and they think that lifting weights faster is how you do cardio. And they think that you need to be having excessive amounts of protein at the expense of high quality fats and high quality carbohydrates. And they don't have balance at all. They're not getting enough fiber. They're not getting overall high quality nutrition. They can't touch their toes without back pain. They can't climb up a flight of stairs without being out of breath. I'm 34 and I have two young girls and I have friends who are in similar situations who are around the same age who when they come over or we go over their house, I'm the one holding all of the kids and running around the yard. And my buddies, like, they're just watched because they can't fucking run. Like they can't do it. They can't throw their kids in the air. So I'm throwing their kids in the air. And we're mid-30s and it's only going to get more difficult. So the major changes that I've made have been essentially a more holistic approach and not holistic in hippy dippy sense, but holistic in terms, let's include everything. Let's make sure you're doing mobility. Let's make sure you're getting your cardio in. Let's make sure you're doing some plyometrics. Like let's essentially, instead of training like a bodybuilder or training like a strength athlete, how about, or a strength competitor, how about you just become an athlete? I want everyone to become an athlete. I don't care if you're an 80-year-old woman, postmenopausal, let's get you to train like an athlete. I don't care if you're a 15-year-old. I don't care who you are. And it's going to look different for each person. But I want you to eat and train like an athlete so you can move well, function well, feel really good, so that you can jump, you can move laterally, you can be confident in your movement and in your body's capability, not just how it looks.
Right. Do you still do programming for people? Like I know y'all have the inner circle and you still produce programming through the inner circle. Have you included those kinds of things in your programming for people?
Tons.
Really cool.
Yeah. So the inner circle is how I do programming right now.
Yeah.
And so I mean, I've spent literally hundreds of thousands of dollars to there are two different ways you can have an app. You can either white label an app, which is essentially you have an app that's already created, and then you put your logo on top of it, and then you have whatever functions they make available to you, and then you pay a relatively small fee to use that. Or you can pay for your own app to be built. And I wanted to have the functions that I wanted. So I've invested a small fortune into my app so I could include all of this stuff. So it has strength training, it has mobility, it has low intensity cardio, high intensity cardio, plyometrics, and then it has nutrition tracking, and it has calorie tracking for people who want to count their calories, and it has non-calorie counting options for people who might have disordered relationship with food if they don't want to track their calories. So it includes everything. And if I was essentially, it's what I would be doing if I was coaching someone one-on-one, but at available to a larger group of people. Right. But I want everyone to be able to have access to all the different modalities of training that they need. And so that's, yeah.
I think that shows like the most growth in a coach as well, or even in a person, is understanding that fitness is so well-rounded and there's so many different things that you can be strong in. I think that was a big barrier that I had for a long time. And that's probably because of Instagram and, you know, whatever social media telling you that you can only train one certain way. But when you get into a place where like your cardio feels good, or I know you've been training the splits for a long time and you can do a full split, like that feels the same as being able to squat 300 pounds. You know, it feels the same way. And I think being successful and being strong and all of those different things is one of the greatest lessons that you can pass down to a client or a kid or anybody in your life.
Completely agree. I completely 100% agree.
The mobility changes that you've made almost don't seem like they're real to me. When you show your before and afters, dude, because I paid it. I've always watched your stuff from the past because it was popular. Some of the ways you kind of started and the very popular people you first started working with kind of popped up on my social, and I've always thought like, well, this is very well-rounded content for everybody. That's kind of what I've always thought about your stuff.
Thank you.
This is general population, 90% of the people need this, right? They need to move more. They need to eat a little bit of protein. They don't need to be a psychopath about it. They need to be healthy. One of the best things I think you've ever done is, hey, do you really want to be shredded?
Yeah.
Like when people tell you, like, I want to be shredded, you're like, those people are miserable. They're shredded, miserable, right? Would you rather do it slow over time, get relatively lean, be healthy, and not make it miserable? And I think you kind of brought that to the mainstream. And recently, when I've watched your mobility stuff as a jujitsu person, I go, that before and after doesn't even look real.
I promise it's real.
I believe you. You've never been, like, come across that way. The loaded Jefferson curl that you show the improvement gains.
Yeah.
Like a foot.
Yeah, it's crazy.
A jiu-jitsu guy, I'm like, if I could get that, my game would completely change. Tell me about that journey, because we talked about the mobility side of it. What made you want to do it? How long did it really take? And what kind of intensity did you have to do over time to make those gains? And if you're watching this podcast, go find Jordan's content, go find some of the mobility changes, and it looks like a different person moving.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like a different person moving. Like it's absolutely wild. And I'll go into how I did it. I think people will be very surprised because a lot of the mobility stuff, it's strength training. It's strength training in bigger ranges of motion. That's literally, it's all it is. It's just your strength training. You're getting stronger in a bigger range. With that being said, the reason I wanted to do it is I started because I want, the Jean-Claude Van Damme splits, how like he's got his feet up on chairs. I wanted to do that with my one daughter on each leg. So I've got two girls, and I want to take that picture with one daughter on each leg because I just thought that'd be a fucking awesome picture. And I feel like that picture I know would be in their house, their kid's house, like that would be like I want everyone in my family to have a home gym or in their office. And I want that big picture in their gym. Like that's our dad, that's our granddad, that's our great granddad. Like I just feel like it's a legacy picture. And it displays strength, and it displays mobility, and it displays love, and it displays like it's taken me I'm still working on it. So I can do the full side splits now. It's taken me almost 2 years to be able to do the full side splits. But I'm still not strong enough to be able to hold them up on my legs yet. Now I've got to and my daughter, they're both growing at a rapid rate. So I've got to fucking hurry up because it's getting more and more difficult. But that's why I started wanting to do this, is just so I could do that. And then it's opened up this incredible world that I had never immersed myself in. And it's proven me wrong in so many ways when I was just focused on pure strength training, just pure traditional strength training. So many of the things that I had just been told and believed at face value, they were wrong. They were just wrong. And they were based on misinformation. They were based on assumptions. They weren't based on reality. And so in terms of what I've done, the simplest way to put it is, if you want to improve your range of motion, a lot of people think about just static stretching. You know, they hold their arm here, they hold their arm here, they do like the quad stretch when they go in the gym, and they're like, you just hold these positions for long periods of time. No one has ever significantly improved their range of motion from doing that. Literally ever. No one has ever been like, wow, I went from holding this for 30 seconds to making massive improvements in my range of motion long term. Maybe very acutely in the next 5-10 minutes, you might notice a mild increase of range of motion, but that's just because you're fucking warming up the muscles. Like, it's not because you've actually made changes structurally to the tissue. And so if you want to make changes, think about it this way. You have structural changes to the tissue, but then you also have neurological changes. And so the thing that really helped me understand how this training makes sense is, if you take someone who dies, they're dead, and before rigor mortis sets in, before they get all rigid and stiff like a board, you could do whatever the fuck you want with their joints. They could do a full split. You could put their legs behind their head. Like, someone who's dead is floppy as hell, and like, you could manipulate their joints in whatever way you want without any resistance whatsoever. And the reason I explain this is because so much of the reason why people don't have access to a range of motion is less because of muscle tightness and more because their brain is saying, you haven't strengthened this range. If you go here, you're going to get hurt. So the brain will actually stop you from going there. And this is why we can see people who definitely cannot do the splits on their own. In a funny video, they'll slip, and all of a sudden they slip into the splits, and they do it. But like, they will often rip their hamstring off the bone, and it's a devastating injury. But like, it happened so fast and so uncontrollably that they were able to do it. But if you ask them, hey, let's go into a split control, there's no way they could do it. So much of it is about changing your brain's response, which requires you to be able to be strong in these greater ranges of motion. So using a split as an example, where you have your legs going out in either direction, you could just do isometric contractions in this wider position to teach yourself, hey, like, I can get stronger here, and I'm stable here, and teach your brain it's okay. Now, what I will say is, for the first 6, I did front splits and side splits. So front split is where you can Google it. Front split, side splits. My front split saw immediate progress with my hamstrings and my hip flexor. I didn't make any progress in my side split for the first 6 months. So for 6 months, and I would take pictures. The way I'd measure progress, I have an app called Angle Meter. It's a free app. And I'd take a picture where I was, and then I would check the angle, and it would be like, you're at 230 degrees. And it was just like awful. For like 6 months, no change whatsoever in my side split. Front split made great progress. After 6 months, I finally had like people hit a plateau in strength training. You just won't make any progress. Same thing with mobility training. Like, your range will plateau and stall out. But I kept going. And after 6 months, then ironically, at 6 month mark, I had a big jump in progress. And that jump, if we averaged it out over 6 months, is about the amount of progress you would expect to make over that 6 month time frame in total degrees. But it just took me six months to get my brain to say, okay, I'm going to let you access this range now. So it's been a really wonderful learning experience.
I
I
love
think
that.
yeah.
Cool
I
things
think
that you got. Yeah.
Yeah.
it's crazy to me that you could access a side split easier than a front split.
Other
A
way, front split.
split
Yeah.
easier than a side split, because I feel like a front split is so much harder.
That's what I thought. But I thought that as well. Apparently, and the more I've looked into this flexibility community, apparently front splits tend to be easier for most people. The people who side splits are easier for are, no surprise, athletes like hockey goalies, who,
Right.
you know, they
Good
have
splits.
that strength in that position. Whereas like most people, because if you think about it, the front splits, the main limiters and contributors are your hamstrings and your hip flexors. That's your main thing. And in general strength training, in general everyday life, it's easier to improve mobility in hamstring and hip flexor. You're using them more frequently. Adductors, people are not using them very much, and we see that in strength. Like you get some, that's, we see a lot of adductor tears, we see a lot of adductor strains, and we see a lot of people who they're not training, they're, even if they're strength training in just the sagittal plane, if they're never going frontal, if they're never doing transverse, if they're never doing anything with a wider stance, their adductors just aren't being trained whatsoever, or not as much to the degree that it should in that wider range. So I was with you. I expected side splits to be much easier, and it was the exact opposite.
What did you look at? What content? Because when I first think of this, I think of like some of the old school Pavel stuff.
Yep.
Because I think about books like Super Joints,
Yep.
things like that. What, when you say the flexibility community, was there anybody that you started looking at? They're like, oh, they've done what I've done, or this is some books I should read, or some content. Where did you
Yeah.
go research?
So it started, I found this guy on Instagram. The first guy I actually found years ago, his name is Juji Mufu. I don't know if you've seen this guy. This guy is jacked out of his mind, and you're jacked. Like I said before we even started recording, I was like, you're jacked. This dude is just like elite level bodybuilder jacked. And also, you know, he's doing the side splits on chairs, but he's also lifting like over 140 pounds while he's doing that. It's just insane. So he's got insane strength, insane muscle mass, and insane flexibility. And I was really interested in him. But then I found a dude named Lucas Hardy called Range of Strength on Instagram. And I really related to him because he was a power lifter, just like I used to be. And so he would go from deadlifting and squatting super heavy to then doing the front splits in within minutes, and then like and lifting heavy weights in these splits, and doing just insane feats of and literally his program, it's feats of range is what he calls it. It's like, it's not feats of strength, it's feats of range, and you have strength within this range. And I fell in love with it, and I trusted him. I trained at Westside Barbell. He would always wear Westside Barbell shirts. I just had this connection. I was like, oh, like this guy, he understands my mindset as a former powerlifter, and he's also doing some crazy shit. So I started working with him. He has a program, Range of Strength, and so I joined his membership. I didn't do one-on-one coaching. I just joined his membership, and I think it's like $75 a month or something. And I've done that for almost 2 years, and it's been like, it's fucking crazy. That's what I do. And by the way, I only train splits. I train front splits once a week and side splits once a week. That's
I was
it.
about to ask, what does your training schedule look like now with everything?
Yeah. So I said once a week. It's actually once every 10 days or so. So these workouts are so intense. I'll frame it this way. You know how intense it is to go for a 1 rep max deadlift? Like how much of a strain that you're done, like you're wrecked for a while. When you go for a personal record in mobility, same thing. You're wrecked. If I go for a personal record range, especially as I get deeper and deeper and deeper into it, I'm wrecked. Central nervous system destroyed. Like it's a huge amount of effort that goes into achieving this new range. So about once every 7 to 10 days, I'll do a front split workout, and once every 7 to 10 days, I'll do a side split workout. And it starts off like, for example, the front split workout starts off with me doing heavy Jefferson curls. So like I'm doing like super fucking heavy hamstring and lower back stuff, but like very, very heavy deadlifts. And then I'm doing super heavy hip flexor work, very heavy hip flexor and hamstring work. And then for side splits, I'm doing like ultra wide squats. So they're called horse stance squats. But like I'll do Zercher horse stance squats, and like I'll go super, super, super wide, and I get stronger in this very, very wide stance. And I try and, it's not speed, like it's controlling the range, getting as deep as I can. And so you have the agonist and the antagonist, right? So you have most people would think if you want to get the side splits, you've just got to lengthen the adductors. That's 50% of it. So you want to like quote unquote lengthen, and we're using that word liberally here. Like you're not lengthening them as much as you are just strengthening them. But the other part is you want to work on the opposing muscle groups. So like, for example, your glute medius, you're not just letting your legs open, you're actively pulling them with the opposing muscle group. So when I'm getting into a side split, I'm not just letting gravity push me down. I'm actively pulling my legs apart in abduction with my glute medius. When I'm doing the front splits, I'm actively pulling my leg up with my hip flexor which is why like seated pikes, for example, and hip flexor raises are so helpful, because I'm pulling that front leg up to the ceiling. I'm not just letting gravity passively push me down. It is an active stretch. It's an active movement. And so yeah, it's 2 days a week of that, or 2 times every 7 to 10 days, separate days for each ones. And it's devastating. Like it's absolutely horrific. How I think the first 3 months, because we do family walks every day. The first 3 months is exaggerating. The first 8 weeks, my joints and hips were so fucking sore. It was one of the things I love about different types of training is every type of training has a different type of pain, right? So like mobility training has a unique pain. Long endurance training, low intensity, long duration, different pain. You could get into the pain of like, it hurts my feet, it hurts my knees, but also the mental pain associated with like endurance training sucks. The pain with maximal effort strength training, it's very unique for a 7-second max effort grinding lift. The pain that you get from a high intensity interval training workout, every type of training you do is different and unique. And the mobility training pain is it's the physical pain is deep. It's a very deep in your joint type pain. You're like, what the fuck is happening? Like there's structural changes that I'm feeling. The mental side is also a motherfucker too, because a maximal effort set might take you a full minute to get into and really like maintain that position. It's very different than anything I've ever done before. And it's just been like the quote that you said, which I didn't even remember, but I love it, is like, I'm just every training session I'm learning so much, and it's the most amazing thing.
That's like, I'm glad you touched on that part, but also the mental part of just going through the maximal effort, because I think a lot of people don't realize, especially if you've never trained with a super high intensity, that like the thought process of me walking up to a barbell with the heaviest weight that I've ever deadlifted, and like me talking myself into that, is mentally exhausting. Like I leave the gym and I'm like, I am not touching a weight for the next 24 hours at least. Like I can't
Yes.
that any longer. Yeah.
That's exactly how I feel before I go for a max split attempt. And I only go for a max split once every 4 to 8 weeks now, because it's so sometimes I have trouble sleeping the night before I'm going to do a max split.
Awesome. Yeah, I love that. That's pretty cool.
Do you feel like if it's like a, like, am I going to get out of this? Am I going to be able to actually,
no,
up?
no,
Down on the floor.
I just get so excited about it. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. That's it. I love this. I love this stuff. I get so excited about it.
Yeah, that just saying that you feel that way this day before is awesome. I relate to that. I don't know if you remember we talked about in our old podcast, the old super squats program that you squatted 20 reps is an old super squat program.
Yeah.
I've done that, and I've had a couple of kids do it, and a couple athletes, kids that just want to grow and do something hard, and they'll go, Coach, I didn't sleep that good last night. No, I said, good. That means it matters. That means it cares, right? And
yeah.
And to you, that means it's important to you. It's important to you. Like if you didn't care about it, you'd probably go to bed and sleep. But if I don't get a PR, who gives a crap? But it's awesome. What I respect about it is I think that's the same mindset of why you said when you started jiu-jitsu, you got all in.
Mm-hmm.
I hate being really bad at something.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I've said this on a previous podcast. When I started jiu-jitsu, I left realizing I was absolutely humiliated. I was defenseless. I felt like somebody threw a brick at me in the water. I'm drowning. It's miserable. I probably left. Everybody laughed at me, and I was horrible. And I just couldn't settle myself with that. I couldn't negotiate that in my own brain that I'm that bad at something.
Mm-hmm.
It makes me feel like when you started the mobility stuff, and you're like, let me do some of these things, and you were like, oh my God, I'm really bad at this.
It's embarrassing, dude. I was sending my pictures to a fellow coach in the industry who I look up to, and I am calling myself a coach. And listen, I know I'm very qualified in what I do, but complete beginner. And it's like, dude, it was embarrassing. And I was like, I have so much room to improve, which is exciting for me. When I get embarrassed, it doesn't mean I quit. It means like, a cool, I have an opportunity to improve.
Right.
But what the fuck, dude? Like, I'm a leader in the industry, and like my flexibility is here. Really? Like, I feel like I should be better, you know?
Yeah.
But that goes back to the whole piece of advice that you told me in the beginning. It's like pursuing that growth in every single thing that you do. Like
Yes.
I think that is what makes a well-rounded coach. And Josh feels the same way about this too. Like when we have had physical therapists on here, and it's like they practice what they preach, and they like, he has a physical therapist that now does jujitsu. And I just, being able to immerse yourself in a new culture consistently is huge. You know, Josh says I got involved in CrossFit last year because I was like, I'm bad at that. I want to get,
Yeah.
but you keep growing from it. Now you've learned so many different ways to train that anybody you work with or anybody you talk to or any kind of circle that you're in, it's like, I can help you with that, or I can teach you that, or I can be a part of this circle.
Are you doing jujitsu, Gray?
No, but I've always said, I've probably been saying for the past like 6 years, I'm gonna do it one day. Maybe I'll do it.
I feel like you'd be good. I feel like you'd actually be really good.
The
I mean,
mindset. It's the mindset.
I know.
that's
Well,
exactly right.
every year I tackle, my biggest goal at the start of every single new year is to tackle something new. So every year since 2020, I have tackled like a new aspect of fitness. So maybe 2026 is my year of jujitsu.
I bet within 12 to 14 months of starting, you're going to want to compete, and you're going to win. You're going to win your first competition. And I think you're going to be obsessed with it.
And you get cauliflower ear probably.
I have that personality to, like, if it causes me pain, like, I will keep coming back.
Yeah, that's it.
I could see Gray with a big nasty cauliflower, like coming over.
Just let me get married first. Let me be in a wedding, and then I don't care.
There's gonna be a picture of me. I'm gonna send you, Jordan. I'm draining Gray's cauliflower ear, and she's all in on it.
I just can't wait to see the picture of like her just choking someone out and her behind them just smile. Like, you're gonna love it. You're gonna absolutely love it, and it's
a mindset thing. I know, and it is you know, jujitsu's been one of those things where there's a lot of people I never would have met if it wasn't for jujitsu, because they're so different than me. Maybe one guy's a librarian, one guy works for, one guy's a hunter, one guy's, and they're, I say it all the time. We have such, jujitsu eliminates any bias we have of people, because once they get on the mat, we're all the same. And I've seen people of complete different walks of life that would never know each other, different religions, different history, different background, different race, different everything. And they become best friends because of the mat. Because once you're on the mat, it's meritocracy at its best.
Yeah.
And I've just seen, and I tell people all the time, I was like, you love jujitsu? I think I love jujitsu people, which is into jujitsu. It's just like CrossFit community. They all love each other. All of
That's
us,
the same way though. I walk into the
guys start
gym.
to know each other, and they start to look like each other. They start to walk like each other, right? I went to a wedding recently with my wife, and the whole time I was like, I gotta go to this wedding. I gotta go to this wedding. I walk in there, it's a dude from jujitsu, and we're like dapped up, sat at the table. I'm like, I feel good here, right? So yeah, it's just the community of it. I'll be honest with you, you starting your mobility made me go to my physical therapist and start working on my mobility.
Let's go. That's amazing.
So you started working on it. I started seeing the gains, and I'm like, holy crap. And he does jujitsu. I'll choke everybody out if I can do this, right?
Yeah, man.
So I have a daily routine that's from my, I actually did a video and posted it. I'm not quite to the loaded side of it.
Okay.
I'm moving into like the loaded Jefferson curls. I do stretch, relax, like the saddle stretch, the side.
Oh, good.
Split, stretch, relax under a little bit of load. I'll tell you, my wife's seen it. I got a little weight downstairs. I'll do the stretch, relax, side split. When I'm done, I get up and I'm like, oh, like I quiver. I quiver.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm shaking, and I'm like, all right, I got to hold this stretch, relax for 10 reps. It's going to take about a minute of doing this. At 54 seconds, I'm like, I want to quit.
Yep. It's the worst, dude.
Like 6 seconds is going to be so long. And I'm so proud of myself. It's like finishing that like a heavy set of 2. You're like, oh, I did the first one, not sure about the second one. But like like doing those deep stretches like that, 50 seconds of a minute long stretch, relax, stretch, 50 seconds feels halfway.
Mm-hmm.
The
Mm-hmm.
last 10 second is like sweaty mobility,
Yeah,
like
oh yeah.
stretchy. And it is, man, it is from the groin to the side to the knee insertion. And I'm like, this is so intense. And you know, I don't do it anymore. I would shake.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm using the right, but the spindles, the muscle spindles or whatever, my body wouldn't want to relax. I would shake trying to contract
Yeah.
and relax. That I would literally see my legs shaking trying to relax because they're trying to contract because my brain's being like, you ain't doing it, dude.
Well, the fact that you're doing contract relax, number one, tells me that you're learning from someone smart. So that's good. That makes me
The
happy. And
physical therapist that does jujitsu that has me
Yeah,
do.
he's
I
awesome.
made and the other thing is that, you said you're not doing the loaded stuff yet. Like that's fine because realistically, in the same way that people can do strength training without load, especially early on, you can do mobility training from a strength perspective without external load early on. Like your contract relax allows you to do it without an external load because like they're loaded. When you're contracting, they're loaded. It's just when you're doing the other things, there are other ways to externally load it, but you don't need to, especially early on. Like you got plenty of tension right now.
I'm 6 months into it. I'm creating plenty of my own tension.
Good. That's awesome. Well,
Honestly,
dude,
I
that's
only
awesome.
do the routine I'm doing now is only like 6 things
Yeah.
every day. And it maybe
Okay.
20 minutes. So he's like, hey, just do this every day. I mean, maybe 4 days a week. I'm doing it 4 days a week, 5 days a week. These 6 things, do them every day. The plan is to do them for 6 months and just get into the routine of doing it every day. I don't have like a side split routine or front split because that's pretty advanced. I just do the same things every day. And there are times I don't want to do it, honestly, because it hurts. It
Yeah.
sucks. Right? It sucks. Some of the things, because my body from jujitsu, for so many years of jujitsu, I formed the jujitsu body.
Yeah.
I know what I'm talking about, dude.
Yep.
Like flexors are tight. I can't extend, but I can get into a teeny little ball.
Bro, even just watching you, I can't extend.
I can't. I can't. I can't. I have no thoracic extension, no hip extension. So everything's around thoracic extension, hip extension, flexibility because I formed the jujitsu body, right? That
Yep.
we've seen, right? So a lot of it is to combat that so I can stay on the mat, but a lot of it is because like the more this might sound weird, and I don't know if you felt this, the longer and more I do it, the better I breathe.
Mm.
Oh yeah,
I think it's got
100%,
to be related to my nervous system.
without question.
Being able to have like a breathing, better, relaxed nervous system from the stretching has helped me relax so I breathe better after doing it. I
Why do
try
you think
Without
people love
question.
yoga?
I don't know
You know?
I don't know a better way to explain it to somebody, but I breathe better when I'm done with the routine.
I would say,
Without question.
like, my thought process to that goes like, that's the only thing you can control in that moment, right? The only thing that you can control in that moment is your breath.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you're sitting in that stretch or you're, exerting that effort. The only thing that you know that you can control right there is that,
Oh yeah.
right? So that makes total sense.
I mean, I even think about it from I'm sorry, Gray.
No, go ahead.
From like I remember when I first started jujitsu. And keep in mind, like I came from a wrestling background, so like I was comfortable grappling, but it's different. Especially when I was playing guard. When I was playing guard in the gi, it's just like that is so not what you do in wrestling. And I remember my like my hands hurt so bad because I was holding onto their sleeves, trying, and I was just like I would burn myself out because I wasn't breathing, and my coach literally he'd be like, breathe, brother. Like he was like, just fucking relax. But it's really hard because I'm scared I'm gonna get past. Like I don't know what's going on. But now I'm at a point where like if I'm playing guard, I'm just like whatever. Da, 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 da. It's just like obviously depending on who I'm going with. It's like if I'm going with someone who's way better than me, I'm fucked. But even then, I'm still more relaxed because I'm in a more relaxed mindset at this point. Same thing with stretching, where it's like early on, it's a new sensation, it's new feelings, you're doing something that you're not used to, and it is stressful. And like the better you get at it, the more you can relax and the more you can almost be comfortable with that pain. You can the saying that I was told by my first jujitsu coach, which was like, jujitsu makes everything in life easier because if you did jujitsu that day, you didn't die, right? Like you didn't die, so everything else is going to be easier that day. It just, I think it helps your central nervous system and your it gives your nervous system a down regulation of, you can see everything more in slow motion. And I think we could apply that to almost everything, but with stretching, it's like with intense stretching is where it's like, okay, when you first start, it's so unbelievably painful and it's so new and it can be scary. You're like, am I going to rip this shit? Like, what the fuck is going to happen? But the better you get at it, the more you know what's going on and the more you can breathe and calm down. And it transfers into everyday life. Like even now when I'm bending over to put my youngest into her crib, like I can bend all the way over. And before it would be in my head, like, am I going to throw my back out? Is like, am my back all right? But now, like, I can bend her over, I can throw her up, I could put my toddler on my shoulders and spin her around and do all this shit. And like, there's no thought. There's no like, is this going to hurt me? It's just, I'm much more calm as a result of it, which can help with your breathing for sure.
My
It's
first
so
thought doing the side
freeing.
split, my first thought doing the side split sometimes is, hey, how am I going to get out of here? Like the dismount. I tell my, I call it the dismount. I'm in this side straddle stretch, doing stretch relax, and I'm like, okay, getting out of here is the most. It's like, do I just fall? Like fall back? Like, is anybody behind me so I can just fall out of this thing? Because you're in the place and you're like, wait, I got to work my feet back up and stand up.
Yeah.
You're stretched out that far and it hits your time limit. There are literally times I'm just like, I just might fall back. Like I don't see myself
Dude,
getting.
put like a little box underneath your butt, and that
Oh,
way you
just
can
okay, yeah,
you
yeah,
can
just
push back onto it, like almost like a box squat.
okay,
Like
yeah, 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 yeah.
put a little box underneath you, and then you could push back into it.
I love the connection between the stretching and the jujitsu because I still, as a black belt, I like to walk out on the mat and watch people the first time they're getting on or the first 6, 7, 8 months when they step onto the mat and they get on the mat and you start like eyeing who's in here and say, 20, 25 people on the mat, they're so nervous, dude.
Yeah.
Still so nervous to be on the mat. And and then I love to see the people who were passive and they started jujitsu, they forced themselves to do it, and all of a sudden they become aggressive. And all of a sudden they learn to attack. And all of a sudden they're not passive, they're not scared to roll with you. And I always tell people the safest people to roll with are the black belts, bro. Like
Yes, that's exactly right.
they're not gonna hurt you. Their pride's already been destroyed. There's no pride left in me. I've been choked unconscious so many times that it doesn't hurt my feelings anymore, right? I'm not scared of it. Tapping does not hurt my feelings. They're going to take care of you. So there's so many times we roll with the new person and they're so gripping on, they're so tight, they're so tight. They can't make it through a 6 minute round. And it's my job to relax them. Like, hey, buddy,
Mm-hmm.
I promise you I'm not going to hurt you. You just move and do what's natural. I'll move you away from people. I'll move you into spots. If you get caught in weird spots, I'll know if your finger's wrapped in my gi.
Mm-hmm.
I got you. We'll move. I'll take care. Like we'll roll. I love to see the progress of people scared. Like you said, your hands hurt from holding onto that gi, like you're holding onto a rope and you're drowning, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I love seeing the people just flow into it and get used to it. Man, everything, like you said, becomes so much easier in life when you
Mm-hmm.
something like that. And I told myself I never want to get away, whether it's the first person working out. I work in a high school environment where it's the first 12-year-old girl that walks into the weight room for the first time. It's
Mm-hmm.
the person on the mat. It's the person who first starts just contacting somebody to get your health better, just making that phone call, just getting on the mat, going into the weight room. I never in my life want to be disconnected from that day one to where I don't have some empathy for acknowledging how hard it is for day one to do
Mm-hmm.
like that for certain people. The day I'm disconnected from that is the day I just don't think I do it anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, dude, it was so funny. My first day going to jujitsu was the most confident time I've ever walked into a jujitsu academy. And every day thereafter, like in terms of like for my the first day I went, I was like 10 years wrestling, gonna be good.
Yeah.
Get wrecked. Just get wrecked. And then every day thereafter for the first year, I'm not joking, I was petrified for the first year. I was petrified. I was like, what the fuck?
Just so everybody knows, you weren't in the normal room, just so you know, so people know, like
That's yeah, that's fair. Yeah, yeah.
We're in the blue room, Henzo's in the basement, multiple world champion people surrounding you. This wasn't just like some random gym in a
Toledo.
in Toledo, right? With some dude that learned from some guy. Like, you had a Gracie in the room. There were people that have been on TV, world famous people. So did you know that was the room when you walked in there? Did you have any clue?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because you wrestled, you knew what you were. Okay. Because if you
Yeah.
didn't know, I'd be like, oh, brother, I'm sorry. Like, you're walking into the room with murderers.
Yeah, actually, it's crazy. But then I remember it was probably within my first week. I went to an advanced class and I was rolling with this purple belt, and he was in top side control. So great, like he's on top of me. Okay. And he's like perpendicular to me.
Off to the
So
side of it. Yeah.
so he's off to the side and his chest to chest. And we're doing specific training. So we're starting in this position where he's on top, I'm on bottom. And the goal is for him to try and submit me or me to try and escape to get out of that position. And I'll never forget this. Where we're going, and I'm trying, like I'm really, really, really trying to get out. Can't do anything. And the kid says to me, he actually goes, he's like, hey man, you've got to try to get out. And I had like a lump in my throat. I was like, bro, I'm fucking trying to get out.
Hands? Like, how are y'all locked?
He's holding him down, Gray. He's laying on top of him, holding him down.
I'm just trying to picture if you've got access to moving your limbs, or if you're
completely... Oh no, he's got that access, it's just not working.
Yeah.
Got
it. It's but the thing about it is, like, your limbs almost don't mean anything. Like, if you know how to use them to create space, great, which I didn't at that point in time. Sure. But like, it's actually more about your hips and using your limbs to give access to your hips to create space. But anyway, what he did is he secured my hips and secured my neck so that I could move. I just couldn't fucking move. And I was I'm not weak. Like, I'm a strong dude relatively. And no matter what I did, I just could. And he literally thought I wasn't trying. And but it's unbelievably humbling. Every day I went there, I was literally petrified. I get smoked by girls. I got like, but it was, it's really crazy. Like, my oldest, she's almost 3. She'll be 3 in August. Like, we have jujitsu mats in the garage, and like, bro, like, she's going to be a fucking killer. Like, she's going to be she's going to be a killer, dude. Like, I feel really bad for any of the dudes in the playground that fuck with my girls. Like, they're going to be they don't have to compete, but they're going to be killers. It's the most, and I love seeing jujitsu videos online when like kids who do jujitsu are being bullied in school or something. And like, a big dude fucks with a little kid who does jujitsu, and this kid will just fucking break their arm. It's like the most amazing thing, because it's good for both kids, because it's good for the kid who does jiu-jitsu, and it's good because that older kid or the bigger kid is like, okay, maybe I shouldn't pick on people anymore. It's like, it's one of the most amazing things in the world.
Yeah.
I walked in to pick up my kid one day, and my kid's got 2 years of jiu-jitsu. He's 9, to the point where like the movements are now normal for him.
That's awesome.
He can take the back, he can play guard, he can shrimp, and he can do an arm bar, he can mount arm bar, just the basic stuff. But like, he kind of does it and doesn't think it's that big of a deal, because they're just normal patterns of movement for him now. And I crack open the door in his after school, and right when I crack it open, I hear his voice go, "No, man, you got to sink that choke in deeper." And I pop the door open, and it's him and his 2 buddies in the corner, away from everybody else. And my son Asher is on this dude's back, and he's trying to show him how to sink the rear naked choke in on the back. And I go, buddy,
That's
no.
Funny.
This is normal behavior. You're home. I know this is normal. I know this is what you do 2 or 3 days a week. I know you do it to me. I know I kind of play with you. I said, but you can't. These people don't understand what you're doing.
Yeah.
Don't see it. And you're probably going to scare a kid if you throw
a choke. If you like talking about kids that are killers,
then we leave.
Asher is a killer.
We leave, and he looks at me, and I give him a fist bump, and was like, that was pretty cool though. They were asking about the choke, and he wasn't getting his choke all the way through, Dad. And I'm like, I have to discipline you, but then I'm walking through like,
he was like, yeah, try and choke me out. And the kid was actually squeezing, and Asher was like,
what are you
you're
doing?
not doing anything. Like,
Please try.
Ashley gets it all the way through and gets that
I
choke
love it.
through. But the moment I open that door, he goes, no, 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 you're not getting the choke
it's
all.
so funny.
And I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna get a letter sent my.
What a blessing and a gift that you've given him, though. Like to know have that skill at 9. Are
Yeah,
you kidding me? That's extraordinary.
yeah. And I've been very so the reason he got into jujitsu was he saw a picture of me one time, and he goes because I had a neck surgery. I didn't train. I was out for like a year and a half, and he saw a picture of me in a gi, and he goes, Daddy, were you a ninja? So yep,
Yes, I was.
I still am. And he goes, I want to be a ninja. I go, I can take you just to the place.
That's
So
amazing.
it was the cool thing. And so he's gone off and on in the last 3 years. He went 2 years. Now we go off and on when he can. But like when he wanted to stop, we let him stop. When he wants to go, we let him go.
Yeah.
Not my thing. It's not his thing. It's what I do, but that doesn't mean it's what you have to do. I'm
Yeah.
I'm very upfront with him that you don't have to do it because Daddy loves it. We're not gonna.
I love that. That's
There's still that
amazing.
part in my head that goes, 18-year-old world champ wouldn't be bad.
I mean, yeah, he's already talking about it at 9. But no, I feel like all of the conversation about, jujitsu or learning to do the splits or just how you change your training and anybody who, if you've changed your training, I think an important lesson I know for my own personal fitness is I have to find things that constantly humble me, or that's where you find stagnant. Like I find this, I'm at a pause in my training or whatever it might be. And so I've always encouraged people for so long, do something that's going to influence your discipline in a positive way.
Are you having fun with CrossFit?
I am. I went yesterday and it was really fun. We were doing like a really fun back squat drop set when it was
Okay.
crazy. It was like you built up to a heavy weight. You didn't take the bar off for 7 sets, and you'd go one set of one, another set of one, like take a plate off, another set of one, take another plate off, set of two, another plate off, so on, and you worked up to 4 reps, and it was really fun. But I think what I've had the most fun with is I love strength training, but the gymnastics part of it is really humbling for me. So getting on the rings or learning to do like a rope climb, or we do lots of handstand work, like that is very humbling to me, but it kind of like brings out my inner child in a way because I'm getting
Yeah.
flips and stuff. So it's a lot of fun. But
That's what I love hearing, that because training should be fun and like
right.
you should bring out your inner child. And like, I mean, how many adults do you know who are doing somersaults or doing handstands or getting on rings? Like that makes me super happy. And you'll notice, especially with the handstand work, I mean, your upper body strength, your hand strength, your forearm strength, your shoulder strength is going to be radically improved. I mean, it's like a monkey. You walk on your
Yeah.
hands and you're going to build strength in your grip and your form and your shoulders that you literally wouldn't build otherwise. It's
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah, like I can tell you just from an overhead perspective, because I think you kind of max out your overhead, right? Like it's really hard to push weight overhead. And I would always struggle with anything above 90 pounds, like in a strict press. And I'm pushing way heavier than that now. Like I'm over 100 now. So it's like just having
Experience.
a different lesson teach you that, like from your handstands or just a different exercise entirely, and then being able to strict press a heavier weight. Like I think people miss that sometimes. Like train in different ways because your body's going to respond to that really well.
Well, I mean, and I'm assuming you weigh over 90 pounds, right?
I
So I mean,
do.
when you're doing a handstand, you're
Yeah,
holding all of
right.
that weight. I mean, how often for an overhead press are you holding whatever you weigh over your head? I mean, now you're doing that when every time you do a handstand. So
Right.
you're putting this significant amount of stress in a good way on your shoulder girdle, on your wrists, on your fingers, on your like you're training in that position in a way that it's not impossible, but it would be very inconvenient with a barbell. But
Yeah.
with your body weight, it's convenient and fun, and like
Yeah.
and you're building up huge strength with it. That's amazing.
Just that point, literally what you said with your body weight. There might not always be a time where I have full access to a gym.
Mm-hmm.
like what you're doing with your personal, mobility training, or when you guys go to jujitsu, or me with, my gymnastics work being in handstands or any like that. I don't have to have a gym to do that,
Mm-hmm.
Part of that is freeing too, because I know I can find training in any aspect, in any place
Mm-hmm.
where I just need my body.
You've
Yeah.
always been really good at finding fitness in multiple different modalities for you, Gray,
Yeah.
where when you ran a marathon, you did this kind of training, you did that. You've always been very well rounded in the skill of fitness, I feel.
Thank you. I
That's
appreciate
a
it.
huge compliment. That's
Thank you.
that's like the highest level of compliments as a fitness coach. That's amazing.
Thank you. No, I appreciate that. And I hope to teach that, to my own clients and to anybody else around me is it's fun. And pushing yourself to that extreme is fun. And learning what your body is capable of is fun. And being, not afraid to fail is fun. I think it's the best lesson that you can learn.
Jordan, what's next for you? Is there a what's next for Jordan Syatt moment that we get to have here? I feel like I feel like your content has really branched out. It's gotten more personal outside of fitness for you,
Yeah, it's
Mm.
really cool.
personal outside of for you, and I think you've created a you know this community is very hard because it's hard to create trust with people because there's so much bad stuff out there that once people just want to feel that they can trust you with your content, whether it's fitness or what else. I feel like you've always done a good job creating trust and being honest with people. They trust you so that now that you've even started doing content that's more personal to you, they trust you just because you've always been genuine in all the other content. So why wouldn't you be still be genuine in this content as well? Um, when Gray first talked about bringing you on, it made me kind of go back through some of the content and some of the stuff you do and looking at some of the stuff that you're putting out. You've always done a really good job trying to have perspective on whether it's different thoughts, different frames of ideas, to understand people, but still like be somebody that brings honest, truthful content to people.
Thank you. I appreciate that a lot. Thank you.
And that is a very genuine compliment because that's not very common anymore online.
Mm.
Right. So you brought more personal stuff to the table that I've really begun to look at that I've really appreciated. Um, I've had some personal, man, it's amazing how your perspective opens up when you have personal conversations with people that have gone through world events that
Mm-hmm.
you don't know anything about. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
anything about the world events you talk about, but I met somebody recently whose family escaped uh the revolution in Iran,
Yeah.
and it was a kid. And I said, "Hey, where are you from?" And he just because I don't mind, like I'm half Hispanic, so getting the "what are you" question doesn't bother me, right? Like
Yeah.
I get it all the time, right? Because my mom's a redhead, and so they all thought we were adopted when we were little. And the kid looks nothing like me, blonde hair, green eyes, blue eyes, fair skin. People are like, "That's your kid?" I'm like, "I think so." I had the testing done, but I think so. I said, and I had a conversation when I asked him, I was like, "Where are you from?" And he almost was like real weird about telling me where he's from. Like he was like, "Well, why is he asking?" I'm like, "Oh man, I just want to know more about you." And it was a kid, and he goes, "Well, I'm Persian." I'm like, "Where are you from?" He's like, "Well, my dad was born in Iran." Like he didn't want to tell me. He's like, "My dad was born in Iran." I was like, "Well, tell me what happened." He's like, "Well, my family was 9 years old, and my dad was 9 years old, and they escaped persecution there. We still have family over there." And he kind of explained what his family said is going on over there, and that made me really get back into some of your stuff that you're talking about. So I'm really excited to dive into the non-fitness content that you're doing,
Same.
help my perspective of things that I don't know about.
That makes me super happy. That
Having this conversation with this kid and explained why his family escaped, what's going on with family over there, what he's
mm-hmm.
dealing with, why he came here, how they're keeping track of it. You know what it did? Hearing that personal conversation with that kid and the passion behind it, I now have an opinion.
Mhm.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I now
Yes.
have a strong opinion on it because I talked to a kid whose family had direct in
Mm-hmm.
from what goes on. So I'm just as equally excited to not just do a side split one day, but watch that you're doing. So uh, I admire you going into that.
Totally. It's a big change.
because it
Yeah.
is important to you.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Number one, I appreciate that a lot. It means everything to me. Thank you. I recorded a podcast with a woman from Iran less than a week ago. And so that'll be coming out soon. And then later this week, I'm recording a podcast with another man from Iran. And I've always said, I'm sure you've probably seen Gray, I'm sure you've seen and Josh, you've probably seen it as well. People ask, like, if I wasn't in fitness, what would I do? And it would be a history teacher. Like, I would always want I love history. And my family is a lot of professors. My cousin is a Native American Indian history professor at GW. So I've always like history. I love it. I'm obsessed with it. And I one thing with fitness is we just want to help people. We just want to help. That's what we do. That's No one becomes a fitness coach because they want to get rich. Like,
Yeah.
we become a fitness
Say
coach
that all
because,
the
like,
time.
we know how much it's helped us, and we want other people to experience the benefits as well. Oftentimes it comes from a place of where we struggled, and we want to help people who might also be struggling and they don't know how they can fix it. I think history for me is very similar, and we all know the quote, like, there's the quote, like, history repeats itself, and then there's I think a better quote where it doesn't repeat itself but it often rhymes. And where, if we want to look if we want humanity as a whole to be better towards one another, we have to learn from what history has taught us. And history doesn't have to be thousands of years ago. It could be 1979 when the Iranian revolution, or so-called revolution, happened. It could be in the last 5 years, whatever it is. But we have to learn from history. And I'm so blessed. I'm at a point in my life. I'm looking at the podcast studio set up. Like, I love conversations. I know, Gray, you were saying you didn't know if I'd have the time to get on these calls. Like, I think it's one of the most incredible miracles in the world that we can all sit down, not in the same room, and have a meaningful, deep conversation, even if no one else sees this, but that us three can have this, and then also that others will benefit from it as well.
Right.
So I will always love fitness and talking about fitness. I also think that if I can give a voice to other people and other perspectives around other things, that, listen, if someone can get their workout in and then also learn about the humanity on the other side of the world, or even right here in the same country as them, that experiencing a different situation that they don't know anything about, I think humanizing these experiences and humanizing each other will lead to better health. Right? It's like that we have really horrible mental health when you think everyone else is evil. You're on social media, this person's evil, this person's terrible. And then, of course, you go out to the grocery store and you're like, oh my God, like, is this person an enemy or an ally? Like, that's how people are viewing everyone now. It's like, the more we can humanize these people and have conversations, even and especially if we disagree, the better all of us are going to be. And we need to be willing to have those conversations. And that's just at a point where I'm very passionate about these conversations. And so thank you for the kind words. And that's, if we're talking about from one of my personal goals is just to continue to build the podcast and have discussions with really incredible people who have something to say.
Yeah.
I agree.
That's awesome.
I think that's, we started off with fitness with our stuff, but I'm to the point now that if someone's passionate about want to talk about something they want to talk
Come
about,
on.
and somebody can listen, and we can offer a platform or talk about what we do, um, man, you become a lot. We have an apathy issue. We really do.
Mm-hmm.
People has an apathy issue because we see things through a TV screen and through a phone, and you don't get to touch, feel, and see and hear people talk. We'd be a lot more compassionate if the people who disagree actually got in a room and had conversations.
Sure.
Yep.
They become human beings all of a sudden.
Yep.
Um, you know, there's a famous quote that I think it's the oppressor's job to make one group of people not be human.
Mm.
Uh, that's not a perfect quote, but it's something like that. Like,
Yeah.
or a propagandist's job is to make one group of people not seem human.
Yep.
It's easy to do
That's
back
exactly right.
when you don't see human side of it. And it's amazing to see an environment sometimes I get in where for a fact, if that person didn't know that person, they probably, because of their history, wouldn't like each other. but
Mm-hmm.
they are together because they're humans.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it really changes. I think you're doing a little bit of that with your conversations.
Totally.
Thank you. It's if you ever want to, it's funny. I think people hear the word propaganda and they often just think like historical, and they don't realize that they're being fed propaganda
Every
all
day.
day, every day. If you ever want to like look at some interesting, go look at like old like World War II propaganda of like the imagery that was used. For example, like even here in the United States, like what the images of how they drew the the Japanese and like what the Japanese looked like as images,
Yeah.
which essentially allowed them to I, I'm not going to say justify it. It allowed it to make killing easier when you have an image of someone else that is subhuman. It's easier to kill a cockroach than it is a human, right? It's easier if they're not human in your eyes, or if they are the essence of evil, then they don't deserve human rights. Then it's easier to kill them. I mean, and there were some remarkable stories of World War II. There's a very famous one where I think it was on Christmas Eve or Christmas Eve Day of 1944. There were Allied soldiers and German soldiers, and they on their own accord made a temporary ceasefire. So these soldiers, German soldiers and then Allied soldiers, played a soccer game on the battlefield.
Yes, I've heard that story. Yes.
And then the next day, they kept trying to kill each other. But like in the middle of the fucking one of the bloodiest war of all time, let's just hang out and play soccer with each other, and then go back to fighting someone else's war. Like it's absolutely crazy. But that's why when you get them in a position where you can just hang out and speak and have a conversation, it's like, you know what? I think we agree on far more than we disagree, and that's why.
Across the board, right?
Yeah, it's exactly right.
Across the board. Have you ever heard of the book Ordinary Men?
I have it right there. It's one. Yeah, it's right there. It's right there. It's one of my favorite books of all time.
One of the scariest books of all time about propaganda and mind
Yep.
walk, and what one group of human can get another group of humans to do towards another group of population of people. Reading that book, and then I watched a documentary on it. Um, you hear people say like, "Hey, you'd like to think you wouldn't be an SS officer, but don't think too fast."
Correct. That's
Right?
exactly right.
Right. So hey man, I know we want to be respectful of your time. Appreciate you coming on. I mean, I think it was a great conversation, man.
Yeah, I value it so much. We really appreciate you making time to come on, and let's not wait 6 years for another
Yeah.
conversation.
I'm if you're ever in Dallas, you always have a place to stay. Would love to have you on the podcast. Have a home cooked meal. Congratulations on the
Thank
engagement.
you.
Super exciting for the wedding. I want to see the pictures.
Yes.
Seriously, if y'all are ever here, please, please, please let me know, and I would love to talk again.
Thanks so much, Jordan.